Welcome back to the Investor Intel channel. I'm Peter Clausey. Very excited to have with me today XPhyto Therapeutics. This company was new to me until 2 days ago, and we have its CEO here to fill us in on what's going on with the company and how we can all benefit from it. Hugh, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Peter.
There's an old saying that sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, but if you can have both, take it. And it appears that XPhyto has been both lucky and good. You started out as a cannabis delivery platform, and you've been able to pivot that into coronavirus. Can you give us a little on the background of the company?
That's right. So when it comes to cannabis, we were always focused on medical applications, and in particular, drug delivery. So, we looked at cannabis as another API or active pharmaceutical ingredient, and how do we deliver that more efficiently, more effectively, and faster? That led. And that actually came about through an acquisition in Germany of Vector Pharma TF, which is a thin film drug delivery company. They have a platform both for transdermal drug delivery and for oral dissolvable films.
Transdermal through the skin, oral delivery is in the mouth.
That's right. So essentially a patch. We're working on, we're working on many programs, but our two lead programs on the transdermal side, it's a Parkinson's generic called Rotigotine, slow release patch. And then our lead program on the oral dissolvable side is CBD based for epilepsy. It's many times more efficient than an oil-based system. It's faster, it's more predictable. So that oral delivery system actually led to an inbound inquiry from a diagnostics company based in Germany. And the question was, can you embed a biosensor in our oral delivery system? And the answer was yes, very, very effectively. We formed a relationship with them. We have an exclusive development and commercialization agreement with them. And that evolved into more testing opportunities. And as it turned out, they had some patents related to enhanced RNA probes for the detection of viral RNA.
Was this Vector or another German company?
So that's 3A Diagnostics, GmbH. We have an exclusive development and commercialization agreement with them. It all started with drug delivery, but it evolved into this lateral flow assay for COVID-19, where they said,
what's lateral flow?
So a lateral flow assay would be like a pregnancy test. So a liquid goes in one end, it passes across a matrix, and within that matrix, there's a compound that detects, whether it's a hormone, for example, in a pregnancy test, or in our case, viral genome, so viral RNA. That's right. So we're focused on saliva. And that's no accident. 3A Diagnostics has a decade plus experience working with oral diagnostics and biosensors. They're experts in saliva-based diagnostics. So this is no accident that it moved into a COVID-19 opportunity. They are, recognized world-class experts in saliva-based diagnostics.
So you're not a cannabis company. You're a science company with a platform for the delivery of various medications and testing.
Very much so. So we call ourselves now a diversified bioscience company. I mean, we want to be on the avant-garde, the cutting edge of these kind of bioscience opportunities. And for sure, cannabis is part of that. I mean, cannabis is a new API, so we want to be there. But we want to be involved in pathogen detection. We have a COVID-19 this lateral flow assay. We have biosensors for H1N1, H5N1, so swine flu, avian flu, influenza A, really a portfolio of diagnostics that are all based on saliva testing.
So I was just looking at your corporate presentation. Your various products in delivery are set out in slides 14 and 15. And I encourage everybody to go to the website, pull the presentation. It's dated July 2020. Look at slides 14 and 15 for the products that are in the pipeline.
Thank you. Yep.
That's still current, and that chart is up to date?
It is. Well, in fact, we have many more programs that are not included there. Our goal is to be on the cutting edge, but do it for a significant discount to what a much larger company could develop these programs for. So these are very low cost, often grant funded. For example, our swine flu and avian flu programs are funded by the German government. We have a lot of collaborations with academic institutions in Germany. World-class experts. Technical University of Munich, for example, is one. He's a pathogen host cell metabolomics expert. I mean, it's really, the deep understanding of the science is where we started. And our so-called cannabis experts were actually, and this was by chance, we're actually all infectious disease experts.
And that's where you're better to be lucky than good. You caught a really good break there.
So making a pivot, or let's say bringing on a parallel development program in infectious disease was actually very simple for us.
Because you have that science expertise, and you have that on the board, you've got it on the management team, and you have it downstream in your acquisitions.
That's right. So our Professor Dr. Raymar Lobenberg, the founder of the Drug Development Center at the University of Alberta, our relationship started in cannabis, but as it turned out, his work goes, let's say, back decades in infectious disease, including HIV, antiretrovirals, tropical disease.
So here's my understanding of the coronavirus testing methodologies. Some of them attack the middle of the virus, you're 2 weeks in. Some try to get it a little earlier where they're asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. Some of the tests they tell you how much of the virus you have. Others are binary. Yes, you have it. No, you don't. Where do you fit in on that matrix?
So we're looking for viral genome. So it does appear that viral RNA is present prior to viable virus. So yeah, it's complicated because there's testing.
Pre-symptomatic.
That's right, pre-symptomatic. You can be looking for example, viral genome. You can be looking for antibodies to the virus. You can be looking for antigens, which is a part of the virus. So we focused on the genome because it appears to be the broadest indicator of infection.
So is your test then more rapid than some of the competition?
Yes, that's what we're developing. So our goal was to develop a test that could produce results in less than 15 minutes. And we're now in the lab generating results in less than 5 minutes. So we're very happy with the timing. We do not use an amplification process, which is what, let's say, RT-PCR. So that's sort of the gold standard. Generally,
I wrote that down earlier. RT-PCR. Yeah. What does that stand for?
RT-PCR. So that's reverse transcriptase polymerase chain reaction. So this is generally a lab-based test. It requires some equipment, but it amplifies the genome so that you can, and it's often generally quantitative, so you can tell how much of the virus is present.
Right, and you don't do that. Yours is more binary.
We don't do amplification, but we have an enhanced probe system that's, let's say, a lower detection limit than your average probe, not as low as RT-PCR, but we don't require equipment. And our detection limit, from what we've seen based on the literature, is capable of detecting the virus within the full range of infection. So that's pre-symptomatic or asymptomatic, as well as on the tail end of an infection, often when there's no viable virus. So you get the process of viral shedding where the genome will be present, but antigens or live virus may not be. So
it would seem to me that there are a lot of different tests needed around the world. Some to
I think so.
What exact stage of the disease do you have? Are you merely asymptomatic? And so there's going to be a need for a lot of different companies with a lot of different products.
There is. I mean, this is certainly not going to be, there's not going to be one test for COVID-19. I think there's going to be a number of tests. We're very focused on the early stages of infection. So this is asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. If as you move in, and we don't know, I mean, it's a very dynamic situation where the literature is changing almost on a daily basis, but it does appear that there's a period where viable virus is not present, but RNA or viral genome is present. So that's what we're focused on. So that sort of pre-symptomatic stage. And then as you move forward, viable virus is clearly present, and there's a peak viable virus. There's also what's called seroconversion. So at some point, your body will produce antibodies. So there's serology tests as well that are looking at the antibodies, and there is relevance for that. So I know in China, if you had the antibodies, you actually got a wristband, and this allowed you to move around because you were not infectious and you weren't at risk of infection. So I think there's value to different types of testing. It just depends where you're trying to fit in.
And the market seems to have rewarded your pivot. You're trucking along at around $1 a share for a long time. Last time I looked, you're around $3 now for close to $160 million market cap.
That's right. So I think, we have been rewarded. We also have a number of, we're not just a testing company. We have our drug development platforms and a number of programs. So I think we're more diversified than just a testing company. So I guess there's pros and cons to that. We have been rewarded, maybe not as much as a sort of standalone diagnostic, but we're very happy with where we're at.
Good. So what does the future hold? What's your timeline for releasing this product to the market?
So we're focused on the European market. This would be an CE mark, European. It's an IVD or in vitro diagnostic device, level 1 or 2. We expect to have commercial approval. We're shooting for February 2021. There's a number of steps along the way, validation as well as regulatory, let's say, hurdles. There's an ISO audit related to manufacturing. So it's an aggressive timeline, but we're confident that we can stick to that. We set this out several months ago, and so far we've been within plus minus a week of that schedule. And there may be opportunities to accelerate as well, given the critical need for these types of products.
Great. So that's XPhyto on the CSC. The symbol is XPHY. And can we check back in with you in a couple of months to see how the development's going? As we all survive the pandemic, it's nice to know there are science companies out there doing real science.
Absolutely. It'd be a pleasure to speak again.
Hugh, thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you, Peter.
Stay safe.